This is hard for me to admit, but I was foolish enough to believe that my generation was going to be the one that actually changed this country into the ideals that we all believe that it should have. The real America that my generation, I was delusional enough to believe that my generation was going to be the one that really implement real change in this motherfucker and make it equal for everyone. I stupidly believed that bullshit. I'm 57, and I fully understand and recognize that this country will never change. This is a white supremacist country, and it's embedded in this motherfucker. And it has no interest in changing. It's all just talk, okay? When that motherfucker got elected, that showed me that this country will never change. How could I have been so delusional to believe that after 400 years of struggle for black people in this motherfucker, that my generation was going to change it? That's fucking silly. There's no change in this motherfucker. None. None. And we have to recognize that shit. Okay? Recognize that shit. The only thing this motherfucker understand is violence. That's the only thing these motherfuckers understand. Violence. Country was created by violence, sustained by violence, got power by violence. Ain't nothing gonna change this motherfucker. I know there's younger motherfuckers in me and this motherfucker that think they can change it. I say have at it. I shot my shot. This motherfucker's still the same.
So the brother said that, I'm 57 years old, and I thought that, one day this country, the people might be all inclusive, we might be welcome here. I used to think the same thing. I'm 54 years old. I said, you know what? Once all these old, degenerate white folks, racist white folks pass away, I said, you know what? I said, maybe there might be hope for this country. Maybe the racism in this country might fade away. It might die with them. But see, little did I realize that, the older generation teaches the next generation the same hatred. You see, it's embedded in them, to hate us. And it's not just the white man, that it's the Arabs, the Japanese, the Chinese. You got some Chinese people that's more racist than the white man. You see, they hate us just as much. So he said that it was foolish of him to think that things would change over time. And the Bible speaks about that. This place ain't changing. That's why God said he's going to destroy this place. You apologists in the Christian church, y'all say, the mystery Babylon that's spoken of in Revelation, that's not this country. It can't be this country because we got it. We live so well here in this country. They treat us good here in this country. Y'all still holding on for hope that this place is going to change. But look at what Trump is doing. He's rolling back all the civil rights acts that we fought for in this country. A lot of people died and got dogs put on them, and a lot of good men got assassinated and killed to to where we are today, and Trump is rolling it all back in within a couple of weeks. And y'all still have hope for this place, that it might be saved. But it ain't true. Let's look at Daniel, because Daniel prophesied that, you got all walks of life living here in they call New York the melting pot. But look at Houston. Houston is, you got so many different people living here. You got Ukrainians, you got Polish, Chinese, Japanese. You got all sorts of Ukrainians. Everybody come here. Everybody come here for jobs and to start businesses. You got the Arabs living here, Muslim people, all sorts of walks of life living here. But Daniel saw in his dream that all these people would be living in this country, but none of them would mingle with one another. None of them would cleave to one another. You see, let's look at Daniel chapter 2, verse 32. It speaks about his dream. It says, the image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, and feet part of iron and part of clay. So Daniel saw in his dream this statue. Every part of this statue represents another kingdom that ruled on this earth. You see, you have the Babylonians rule. Then you had the Persians and Medes, Greece, Rome. Now this country, Mystery Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, America, is just another extension of Rome. You see? So let's jump down. It says, let's look at verse 40, Daniel chapter 2, verse 40. It says, and the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron. It's talking about this country right here, America. For as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and the toes, part of potter's clay, and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. So we're divided today. We're not we're not on equal terms with one another. You see the hatred. This man got back in office. It's a division going on. And whereas thou sawest the feet and the toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. So clay and iron will never mix. We will never get to the point where, we can put racism aside and be as one in this country. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. The seed of men is all these other nations. The Israelites are mixed in with every other nation. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So there's never going to be a happy, medium here in this country. We're always going to be divided in this country. It's only getting worse. So how do we fix this? See, because the brother said I'm 57 years old, and he don't see anything changing. This place is still racist. It still hates us. They don't want us here. You see, Trump is rolling back all kinds of civil rights acts and all this stuff. They taking black history out of the school. A lot of things are changing. We're right back where we started at, basically. The only difference is, you can still go into a bar and have a beer, but pretty soon, man, it's gonna be right back to the way we started. People are marching on bridges, with swastikas and all this stuff. You got Elon Musk, doing hand salutes on stage at a presidential inauguration. People are getting bold now with this racism. They just showing you who they are for real. And our people need to see this because, we've been comfortable here in America. We've been comfortable here in Europe and all these other places. So how do we fix this? The only way to fix it is, we come back to the Most High. We got to come back to His laws and statutes and commandments. Stop doing the ways of the heathens that hates you. Far too long we've been sitting in the Christian church, thinking that everything is okay. But all this stuff has just been under the surface, bubbling like a volcano waiting to erupt. You see? So Daniel prophesied that Christ is going to return and destroy this place. Everything's going to be destroyed and set back in order, God's kingdom. But will you be a part of it? Will you be able to reap the rewards, of all the struggle that we've been through? We've been suffering in this place for so long, punching the clock every day. When our enemies are destroyed, will you be destroyed with them? Or will you repent, and reap the rewards of God's kingdom? So when we go back to Daniel chapter 2, verse 34, it says, "Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, that there were of iron and clay, and break them to pieces." The Messiah is coming back, y'all. We got to get right because he's going to destroy everything. This God is angry with these people for what they have done to us, his children. They won't tell you this in the Christian church. Apologists, they in la la land. They in denial. They don't want this kingdom to come to the end. Verse 35, "Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth." God's kingdom is going to fill this whole earth. You won't see Trump on stage and Elon Musk no more. Verse 44, "And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people." These other nations that's ruling over us, they're not gonna be in our kingdom. I hate to tell y'all apologies, but this is God's judgment. "But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever." Verse 45, "For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it brake in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter." So God gave Daniel the vision, thousands of years ago. You see, when people say, "Who wrote this book?" you know, they don't understand that God inspired Daniel to write these things in the book, you know, to warn you, how close are we to destruction? How close are we to the return of the Messiah. So in Daniel's dream, he saw all these kingdoms come and go. You see, they all got destroyed. This was prophetic. It happened. It came to pass. So we get down to the feet of the statue, you know, where it says we're mingled with the miry clay. The iron and the miry clay is mingled together. That's talking about present day, you see. And the destruction, the return of Christ, the Messiah, the black Messiah, is interpreted in the dream as well. So these things will come to pass. You see, if you have any kind of common sense, you will understand that throughout history, this Bible has been a prophetic book. You know, it's going to come to pass. So God is not going to stop, you know, at this point. You know, it's going to continue to happen, you know. So all we can do is get ourselves straight as a nation of people, the 12 tribes of Israel. Get ourselves together, you know. Come back to God's commandments. Stop listening to, you know, these other nations that telling you, you know, you don't have to keep it. You know, these nations understand that when you come back to God's commandments, you know, when you come back to his statutes and his laws, that these things are gonna these things are gonna speed up even faster. They don't want you to do that. You know, they want you to hit the brakes, turn around, go the other way. You know, that's the deception. You know, that's the deception that these apologists in the Christian church, you know, your own people that look like you are telling you, you know, because they don't want destruction to come. So, yeah, this Bible is a true book. Repent. Time is short. Shalom.